The Pahalgam terror attack last week has shocked India, and India's friends and international community have extended condolences. In fact, Guyana was one of the first countries to extend condolences. With me is Guyana's High Commissioner to India, Ambassador Dharamkumar. So, welcome to WION. My first question to you is about your reaction to the terror attack that happened here in India.
Like everyone else in the world, and especially the people of India and the people of Guyana, the reaction was, of course, one of terror, one of surprise, one of outrage that such a thing could again occur in this modern day, especially when relationship seems to be going so well. And I think our president has also expressed his concerns, his regrets, and his sympathy with the government and people of India. And he has also stated very clearly that he supports the justice and he supports India in whatever moves they are going to make to ensure that the perpetrators of this terrorist attack, that they are brought to justice.
Also, sir, in terms of the issue of terrorism, this is something that India has been very vocal about. In fact, India has briefed the diplomatic community based here in Delhi and pointed to the concerns over cross-border terrorism, especially when it comes to Pakistan. So, what is the Guyanese position in terms of the issue of terrorism?
You know, in that part of the world, in the West Indies, in South America, and in the Caribbean especially, we are not exposed, the general population is not exposed to these kind of brutal, heinous terrorist attacks. You know, for us, there's the usual robbery, some amount of violence, and the occasional murder and so on at a private level. So to the extent that we are not exposed, our population generally have a muted response. But the government of Guyana, they are very much aware of what is taking place, and especially people in foreign missions. And India has had more than its fair share of terrorist attack over the years. And that is why, you know, when you come to India, you are made aware of the response by the way of the security checks at different levels, at the airport, coming in, going into your hotels, along the highways, at various embassies, and so on. So that we learned of these terrorist attacks, like I said, our population definitely would exercise the same reaction as our government, which is one of outrage itself. Because, you know, for us, it's senseless that how is it that you can go and murder innocent people to send what kind of message? You know, these things don't happen in our part of the world. And how is it that, you know, it's difficult for people to comprehend that people will go to such an extent as to murder the innocent who have done you no wrong just to send a message, what kind of message, and the message is to who and what you aim to achieve by doing this kind of brutal, heinous act. So we are kind of isolated there, and it's only at certain levels that we can really truly appreciate what these terrorist attacks really means.
Now, India will be keen to get more international support, and Guyana is placed in a very important way in terms of being a non-permanent member of the United Nations Security Council, where there can be issues for India because there are countries who are not very pro-India, and we know the dynamics at the UNSC. Now, if there are concerns for India, will Guyana support India if there are elements who want to rake issues at the UNSC, particularly on the issue of Kashmir? What will be the Guyanese position? Will they be supporting India's stance?
Well, it's not a matter of who is pro-India, who is pro-Guyana, or who is pro the United States or pro-Russia. It's a matter of who is pro-humanity, who is pro-peace, who wants to get rid of extremism. So Guyana will support any move made by any country to address the elimination of these kind of terroristic attacks. So we are pro-peace, we are pro-dialogue, we are pro-diplomacy in terms of getting all issues resolved, all conflicts resolved, and we, as a country, as a nation, as a people, we definitely against any form of terrorism, any form of terroristic attack, whether it's for religious gains, whether it's for territories, whether it's for sovereignty and all of that. So it's a matter of the principle itself. It's not a matter of country. And if India propose any measures to address terrorism, to make moves and to make suggestions that will target terrorists and terroristic attacks, I'm certain that Guyana as a country, the government and people of Guyana will support any move that will go to targeting terrorists and terroristic attacks.
So my last question to you is, has there been any conversation between the Guyanese side and the Indian side, particularly when it comes to Pahalgam terror attack? Has there been a briefing? Or essentially, if you can talk about, is there a conversation which has happened in the past on the issue of terrorism, on how to deal with terrorism?
Well, we have had a briefing, Guyana, the High Commission of Guyana, along with several other missions, especially in the Caribbean and Latin America, by the Secretary East and our Joint Secretary, who have more or less coordinating responsibilities on behalf of the Indian side for that part of the world. So we were brought up to speed, up to date with the reports and what is being done. And to the extent that we were briefed, that's to the extent we gave our support. I cannot say whether at a president level and the Prime Minister of India level, if there have been further talks. But at our level, at the High Commissioner's level, at the Ambassador's level, and at the level with the Joint Secretary and Secretary East, all the briefing that we have received, we asked some questions, we asked for updates, and of course we gave our support for any action that will seek to find these terrorists and bring them to justice.
And India has been very vocal about the issue of terrorism from Pakistan. Was that also part of the conversation? Because India has already referred in its statement, in fact, the Indian Foreign Secretary last week in the statement said that there are cross-border linkages to this terror attack. So any specific emphasis on that part?
Well, we were told that they're examining links, and at the briefing with the Secretary East, and they are looking to identify the terrorists. And I specifically asked the question that we were told also that facial recognition was 100% for two. And I specifically asked the questions that if you have recognized two of these terrorists, have you been able to link them to any terror organization? Have you been able to link them to any particular country? And because this will give you an insight as to where they're operating from, which organization they belong to, if they do belong to any organization. And the question is that these are ongoing investigations that will probably yield more concrete results as time go by. So obviously the name of Pakistan was mentioned because the place where this thing happened, you have some amount of unease in those territories, and of course its border with Pakistan. So we understand and appreciate fully well that there will be speculation that you will have terrorists, cross-border terrorists and all of that, and once you avail of yourself concrete evidence that these terrorists are linked to any particular organization and they're operating within which particular country, well then we deal with the evidence as they present themselves.
On that note, thank you so much, sir, for speaking to WION and giving us an overview about what is the Guyanese position on the issue of very important concern for India, the terror attack that has happened. Thank you so much, sir.
Well, terror attack is important for all countries, and we, like I said, we fully support Guyana, its people and its government, fully support any measures that seek to eliminate these acts of terrorism and extremism.
Associated with that, if India acts on these terror groups which India believes are based in Pakistan or POK, will you respect India's right to defense or self-defense, in fact, to use the phrase?
We respect every country's right for the protection of their citizens, for the protection of their sovereignty, the protection of their borders. And every country will take steps to ensure that their people are protected, their borders are protected, and they will determine, based on the circumstances at that particular point in time, what action will be taken to protect their people and to protect their country.
Thank you so much, sir, for speaking to WION.
Thank you very much.
With video journalist Sidhant, Sibal for WION in New Delhi.